Hello everyone, welcome to part 4 of our tutorial series. In this one, we'll be showing how to create nameplates for your competitors, and each nameplate will have a place and a name. The nameplate will be shown right above our competitor in the game, and we can also hide it whenever we get too close, or actually too far, and it's out of the screen. Now in our code, we'll start, just as in the other tutorials, by creating the HTML first. So here we'll just need a nameplate place, and a nameplate name. We'll add just, let's say, 1, and let's call it user. Doesn't really matter. Now we have to style this. So in our CSS, we'll make nameplate, set its position to absolute, since we want to have it positioned absolutely on the screen, depending on where our competitor is. And let's just set the top and the left to 0, 0, since we'll be moving it using the translate property. And let's set the width to 20 VH and the height to 5 VH. And we can set the background color to be black with the opacity, and let's set the font color to be white. So we also want to have the border radius be a little bit curved, so we can say 0.vh, and the font size to be a little bit bigger than the normal, so it should be 1.8 rem. We also need to align the items, so we'll set display flex and align item center. And since we want to have the position, the origin point more exactly, should be in the center, so we'll do an odd trick where we code the left margin but with a negative. So since our width is 20 VH, need to call half of it, so it should be minus 10 VH. And we do the same for the top margin, where since it's 5, it should be minus 2.5 VH. And let's set the transform origin, since we'll be scaling it, to be the center. Great. Now if we load it in our player app, we'll see this small, since this is only half of it, actually a quarter of it, it goes like this. Let's leave it like that for now and see. We'll try it in the game, and if it's too long or too short, we can always come back and fix it in our CSS. And let's add the nameplate place. Here let's set the font family to be the one we are already using, contracts. And let's set the width to be 5 VH, since the height will also be 5 VH. And we need to align the letter in the center, so we should be display flex, align item center, justify content center. And let's make the background color to be an opaque one, so we use this black. And if we do this, nothing will change. Let's just get rid of the margins quick, so we can see all of our changes, and then we'll put them back, and we can see it like that. So the next is the nameplate name. Now we don't want the default font, which is this one, so we already have another one loaded in our assets, and we just have to add it to our styles. So you use font face, let's go the font family should be Bebas, and the source should be, I think it's Bebas regular, yeah. So now we can go to our nameplate name and do font family Bebas. And this is good, but let's add a little bit of margin here so it's not sitting right next to our opaque part. And let's add a margin left of 2vh. And okay, perfect. So this is actually everything for our styling. And let's get these back. Now, in the previous chapter, we've shown you how to use databind4, but in this one, I'll show you another method that can be used, which is actually more performant, especially with large arrays. So again, actually I want to note is that it will be a little bit overkill for this game, but imagine you have a strategy or some kind of mobile where you are going to be having lots of enemies with nameplates, or your units, doesn't really matter, but if there are, like, let's say 100 on the map on the screen, this method will be the preferred one, since it won't have a large model to update every time something changes, and it's going to change every frame since they're moving all the time. So for our nameplate, we just add that bind transform, just like we did for the minimap. But here I'm going to show you another way to use the transform. Instead of building your string, you can just do transform 3D, and let's call it nameplate dot transform. But since I was talking about the other method, what we can do is just, let's copy this, let's go to our script, and here we have this engine on function. Let's add another one, and let's call it nameplate created. No, create nameplate. We already have set it up, so we need to have the correct one. And let's set model name. So what we're doing here is that whenever the model is created, we'll create a model for each of our competitors, and we'll emit a JavaScript event that will pass us the model name. So we can just use it and append to the body the nameplate. So let's create nameplate, should be again nameplate in our HTML, and let's add this. Okay, so we can now move it like that, and where it says where we did this one, we can do in just a second. It should be everything that relates to styling should have a databind style. It's not directly like that. So now we can do model name dot transform, and it will be just a string, so it doesn't matter that we do it this way. And we need a databind value, where we at again, model name, place, and again databind value model name dot name. Okay. Oh, we need to have this parenthesis here as well. Just a second. Okay, and let's try it out if it works. So first we'll just use engine create JS model. I just call it nameplate. Let's have a form. It should be, I think this was like this. Okay, 0 0. Second, it should be 1 0. So data bind style transform 2D is actually equal to transform matrix, where it's passed like this. We need 6 values that will be scale, scale x, skew x, skew y, scale y, translate x, and translate y. I hope I'm getting this correct though. So let's set the place to 1 and the name to, okay, let's call it user. So we have this model created. Let's add a engine trigger, create nameplate, and yeah, let's and engine synchronize models. Okay, if I have done everything correctly, we should get nothing. So let's refresh. Yeah, it's connected to one. Just a second. Yeah, we don't have it, so it wasn't trigger. Should be correct one. Right, anyways, we can just test in our game. So if we go to our map, we have this function called set nameplate position. But actually before that, we need to go to the level blueprint, where we have this. So first we have our competitors, which we already got somewhere around here. So this gets all of our competitor vehicles, and then we looped through each one of them, and when we loop, we create a struct, which is the nameplate struct. The nameplate struct is quite simple. It just has a name, a transform, a z-index. So z-index will just notify that the one closest to us should be on top of the others, should include them, which reminds me that I should do data bind style z-index. Again, model name. Okay. Very well, and we already have the place and the is shown. So is shown, and I'll show you in just a second, but we don't want to have all of our nameplates be on the screen at all times. So we can use this data binding feature, which is called data bind if, to check whether a Boolean expression is true or false, and if it's true, it will show it in the DOM, or if it's false, it will remove it. So that way, so we can do model name dot is shown. So that way, whenever is shown is false, our nameplate won't be rendered, and this should be more performant in the end. And okay, so we create from this struct, we use to create a data model. We'll call it nameplate underscore and the number. Then we'll add it to an array of nameplates, and then for each model we've created, we'll create a JavaScript event. We'll pass the model name to it, and we'll trigger it. And when all of the competitors loop true, we're going to set this our models created boolean to true. The reason is that here, when we update them in the set nameplate position, we want to make sure that in the get vehicle position, actually, we want to make sure that the nameplates are that the nameplate models are already registered, because it's going to start crashing our game. And now if you check our set nameplate position, we're going to see that we're checking here if the models are created. We'll again loop through all the competitors, and for each one we use this function get vehicle place. This is another function that we've made, which just checks that if the vehicle just gets the place from the leaderboard array that we'll be using in the next chapter, and gets the place of each competitor. So we get the place, and then we use that to create to update actually our struct. And here you can see a lot of things going on. Again, we have the structure reference, which will be the nameplate struct from our nameplates array. And here we have split the transform property into a couple of ones. We need the scale x and the scale y, the location x and the location y. So for the location, we just use project world to screen, where it projects the position of the competitor on the screen coordinates, and we use this value to check if it's shown, since if you can't project it, means it's outside the screen. And here's something we've done actually. As you can see, that we're getting a sphere, and the reason is that if we get the template, so this is this one, second. So if we get our competitor, if we set its position to be printed on the screen, it will print this bottom, and it doesn't really look good when it's on the bottom. So we've just added a simple sphere vector that's invisible over here, which will, as I said, like this, which will just say where the nameplate should be. And so we get this sphere, we project this location to the screen, and we set this location in the transform. We also get the distance from the player to the competitor, and we're going to use this to set the scale, which means that the farther away from us it gets, the nameplate should become smaller. And we also check if it's less than 2000 voxels away, it should hide the nameplate, because, for example, if we move it further away but it can be projected on the screen since it's in the very far distance, it will still show it. And then we just update the whole model. So if we play, we should have been able to see the nameplates. For some reason we do not. Let's check what's going here. So yes, this is my bad. We actually need to add the nameplates to the body. So yeah, this is why it didn't work before. Okay, and back in our game. So yep, we have our nameplates. So you can see the further away they go, they start hiding. If we move so they're removed from the screen, they'll also not be shown. If we come closer, they'll start appearing. And you can see, for example, the card that's in the 4th place is going to be on top of the one on the 3rd. You can see the same for the 2nd and the 1st, and you see how smaller it gets the further away we are. And when we pass it, it will change the... So yeah, you can see how it turns from 2 to 1. And that's it. And this is everything for our tutorial. In the next one, we'll be showing you how to create a leaderboard that will show each of the players, or let's say each of the cars' places, and it will shift according to the current positions. If you enjoyed this video, give us a like and a share. Also, if you would like to see other videos like this one, subscribe to our channel. And since we'll be posting other tutorials and we have other ideas for videos, leave us a comment to tell us what you would like to see in the future. Thank you and have a great day.